Have I told you about my sugar lumps? They drive the ladies crazy. That's a little Flight of the Conchords. The only good song I feel up until the last episode of Season 2. Season 1 was phenomenal, well-written songs. Obviously, they had years to write them, because how the hell do you write 3 to 5 songs like every week to be prepared for the next show? Anyway, this is Fallout Friday, and you're on the road to 40. I don't got too much Fallout to talk about. I should have changed it to Family or Fantasy Friday. Anywho, so today is Friday the 13th, which is pretty awesome. My name is Jason, not Voorhees, unfortunately. But it is also full moon. Most of you probably already know this. It's all over the interwebs and the Facebooks and stuff like that. But if you didn't know it, now you do. And so this will not happen again until the year 2049, if my calculations are correct. Actually, I just read that somewhere. I didn't even research it, so it could be completely wrong. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's real, because that's really not something that you can lie about and be like, oh, I didn't know. It's funny, though. Like, I expected more chaos today, because my father-in-law had a very interesting theory. About full moons and chaos. He's worked I think it was the same place that it may not have been. My uncle worked at Paul Dever, which was for people who are mentally challenged or crazy, one way or the other. And I don't lump those two together. So, but he was saying that he had noticed when he worked with people with mental disabilities that the chaos got a little bit crazier. And the reason for that being is we are bodies of water. We are, 80% water or something like that? I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But because of that, who's to say that we aren't affected by the pull of the tides and stuff like that as well? I mean, the moon affects all of that, and it's water that's being affected. Of course, it's a much larger body, but if you think about it, it's the same idea. Maybe that's just enough to, get the tides flowing within us and our brains or something like that, and push us, to a different level of being or something like that. I don't know. You may say, why, Jason? Why are you dressed so fine tonight? So delectable and lovely and darling. I'll tell you why. I actually got to go out to eat tonight. See, we were originally scheduled to go to a wedding tonight that got postponed. So we decided to go out to eat because it's extremely rare. And I'll tell you how rare that the last time that Carol and I alone went out to sit down to eat a meal was last year's anniversary. So financially, we couldn't really afford it. But you know what? We don't get those opportunities very often, so I just didn't tell her how much we had in the bank, and we just went. And so, nonetheless, I don't regret, that money, because it was nice to be able to sit down and be foolish and silly together, and then we stopped by Target, and I think that's some of our favorite things to do, is just go into a store and hang out and look around at things and be like, oh, I wish we could get that. I wish we could get that. And we got to do that today. And I bought this shirt earlier, so I thought, I haven't been out on a date in so long that I would take the opportunity to dress up a little bit. I put jeans on and underwear, which is rare. But that was a bad choice today. It was hot. I just wanted to dress up a little bit. I know jeans aren't dress up, but they were my nicer pair of jeans that only have a little hole in them, not covered with knee holes and stuff, 80s style. Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi is someone I would love to meet. Based on, I think, oddly enough, he's a Republican. I could be wrong about that. But everything he does seems genuine and kind-hearted to me. He has that soul food restaurant that you pay for what you can afford, and if you can't, he asks you to just, do some work around the place or whatever. And I think that's awesome. And, another kid, I can't even remember the disease or the name or anything like that, but he wanted John Bon Jovi to come to his his party, he's dying and so on and so forth, and nobody expected him to show up, and he did. And like, that's awesome. Like, Billy Joel just did that recently at a high school or a middle school graduation. I think he was invited to come, and he showed up. See, that's why we put a lot of our celebrities up on pedestals. And now, don't get me wrong, a lot of celebrities, I'm sure, are assholes and take it to heart and treat people less than themselves because they're making a ton of money and they feel like they got there without anybody's help or whatever like that. And I'm not saying that they didn't, but you're making money off of film, TV, whatever you're doing, you're making money because people like you and they want to see you do what you do best. So it's nice when we realize that in most cases, if they're not busy, they have the ability to travel. They've got lots of money. Sometimes they even got their own jet. It's like, I've had two people come to the store to do book signings personally. They're both New York Times bestsellers. They're not huge names. Jason, he did the Christmas jars. I can't remember. I'm really sorry because he was a nice guy, and we didn't have a really good turnout for him. And Kevin Roose, who did the story about Liberty. He left Brown for a semester or a year to go to Liberty to learn about that and write about it. And so it was as easy as picking up the phone, and in Jason's case, the bell jar, not the bell jar, the Christmas jar. Sorry, that's Sylvia Plath. I don't know. And like he literally picked up the phone. I was like, oh shit! I thought I was going to talk to an agent or it was an office somewhere, but no, it was him. Like, I was like, this is awesome. I'm like, hey, would you be interested in coming to Lynch? Oh no, I think he was going to be around the area at the time. I looked at his tour, and I said, let's see what happens. And I called him, and he was like, yeah, let me just set it up. And he put it on his calendar. He's like, this date? Yep, that's cool. What time? All right, how many hours? Da 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 da. I said, yep, we'll order the books. You don't have to bring anything. And he showed up. Here's this New York Times bestseller just walking in Gibbons bookstore because all I had to do was pick up a phone. And I think there's a lot of celebrities like that too. And I almost hate the word celebrity because they are very attainable, like touchable. Like, I've met a lot of heroes of mine, and I didn't have to do much to meet them. Like, I could just reach out and basically touch them, and there they were. So it's neat when you realize that these entertainers and stuff aren't really, most of them aren't pompous or anything like that. They're genuine people. And so so it's neat when John Bon Jovi shows up to a thing or something like that, The only other thing I wanted to talk about tonight is I think I've touched on it a little bit, and so I don't want to go into too much detail, but the whole reboots, I'm really, really getting tired of it. Like, now they're doing Cliffhanger. I mentioned this the other night, and like, I didn't hate Cliffhanger as a movie. Like, it wasn't terrible by any stretch of the imagination. I didn't think. I mean, a lot of people just hated it, downright hated it. And I mean, it was a stretch for a plot, obviously, but it was a good movie. I mean, not a good movie. It wasn't a terrible movie. That's the best I can say for it. But it seems like originality, and I think it was, I can't remember who I heard say it recently, basically said that it's all on television and books now. And it's true. Like, television is way better story-wise with, obviously they have a longer time to tell a story too. They start a season and they've got anywhere from, 8 to 24 episodes or however long a season goes for a show. And so I don't know why television isn't doing more rebooting, and I'm glad that they're not. It seems like a lot of the television shows from the 80s are becoming movies in the new millennium. It's like, what's the point? They've already told 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seasons of story. Like, there's not much more story to tell. Like, sure, if you want to go back and pick up where it left off, that's kind of interesting if you've got a good enough story to tell. But if you don't, just leave it alone. Some things just don't need to be. I mean, like Alf. Would there be a reason to reboot Alf? I guarantee somebody's working on it, whether it's TV or movies. The only thing with Alf is, and I don't remember this, supposedly there was a movie that wrapped it up nicely, but I remember him, his people came back to pick him up, and the alien, the INS, I think it was, actually intercepted and captured him, and that was how the show ended, if I'm not mistaken. And so, they came back and did a movie. I could understand if they hadn't, that they would now, because at least they could tell a story, that was new and fresh and made people, satisfied with the ending and so on and so forth. But they don't. They reboot Cliffhanger and A-Team and like all these movies that were good shows when they were on, but like, do we really need a movie based on them? I don't think so. That's all I gotta say about that. I'm not totally against reboots. Like, sometimes I want a new generation to see and remember what I saw and remembered and so on and so forth. Because there's a lot of good movies that I'd love to see with better quality acting, better quality, not animation, but CGI. And I'm not all for CGI either, but there are cases when a reboot makes sense. And lastly, I want to show you some things I've been working on. I told you I've been trying to go towards this more cutesy, cartoony style, and I think I may have shown you the newest Vincent. This is the style that I think I would like to do the comic book in. The body is disproportionate with the head. I often draw on a flat surface when I should be drawing on an angular surface. And I have a drafting desk upstairs. It's just I have no room in this office. I guess I could get rid of... I've got a few other extra tables and stuff in here I don't need. So then I wanted to expand on that. And I saw an artist online. Let me see if I can find his name real quick. That I potentially might be one of my favorite new artists. Philip Rauschkolb. Rauschkolb. Philip Rauschkolb. A lot of his stuff looked kind of similar to what I was doing, but better, I think. And so I picked up a few little things from him here and there. Like the shadows I like a little bit better on his work, so I kind of took a little bit of that. And the ears, I loved his ears. So this is my first attempt at a new wave cutie type look. The thing I like about it, and I've been trying to focus on a little bit more, this isn't a good example of it, but well, the teeth is one thing. Like, I always keep my mouth closed in my pictures, and I'm starting to learn that less is more with an open mouth, but you still gotta think about shading and shadows and where things fall, and I think that helps out a lot. And teeth, you never want to draw individually. Like, that looks bad. So you can put the gum line here and there. You don't have to put it for every tooth. And obviously, if they're smiling, you can do like darker, and just show the lines of the teeth. And then this is the other one. This one I did today, and I'm very pleased with it. It's a little bit darker, so hopefully you'll be able to see it a little bit better. I want to work a lot more on expression, and so that's what I did with this guy. It was able to capture at a very minimalist level the cutesy style. I don't want to say cutesy because it's not cutesy, but it's more cartoony and more basic, while still being emotive. That's a tough thing for me. Like, I make a lot of faces. I'm not a Jim Carrey, but like I can do a lot with my eyebrows and my ears, and like, I'm constantly making a face, like when somebody says something, like, and I'm not saying that that's completely out of the norm, because some people do that, but I'm always expressive and emotive to whatever it is that I'm talking about or talking with or talking to someone. And I want to capture that in art very much more than I'm doing now. And so that one, he's got a little bit of an angry face. I wasn't really looking for angry. I was kind of looking for determination. I guess it's there. I think it's there. And the next thing I really want to focus on is anatomy and depth and field of, what I'm trying to say, poses and perspective on the body, because as you can see, everything that I've shown you, a lot of things, not everything, like there's one in here that I put on Facebook that I recently stumbled across again. Like here's Obi-Wan. This still isn't great, but he's moving, and you can sense that he's moving, I think. But then for every one of those, you get one of these, which isn't bad stylistically, or you end up with something like this that I end up just throwing away or not using because it looks so bad. But the one I'm looking for, I thought came out really good, and it was like going way out on a limb. Did I show you the boys? I think I showed you the boys. Like that, I feel it's a natural pose. It doesn't feel forced, but I also don't think it's very good. Like, it's all right. And then there's this guy. He wants you to know that right there, he's mad at something right there. He's very mad at something right there. And Walter came out fantastic. I thought that came out really good. I was very happy with that. And then this one I got to post on Facebook because I thought that was good too, although it's just a face. And then this one a few weeks ago, I think I've showed you that. And that just, I love this. I love everything about it. It's not perfectly in motion, and I never intended the ball to be there, but after I drew it, it made sense. And then like this, I mean, I feel like some things are coming along. The thing I like about this, like the face isn't great, you know, there's not a lot of feeling in it. However, proportionately, everything came out the way I wanted it to, and the perspective came out well. And, you know, Big Jim, he's climbing up his hill. That's not great, but it's still got a little bit of something in it. You got, you know, Wilbur and his doctor. That's all right, but... And then there's the pencil of Walter. And then the ink of Big Jim. And then this guy with his baseball bat. He's sad, and he's looking off in the distance. Daryl in color. This is, I mean, this is all stuff I've just been doing like crazy. I was working on a Tinge and Nerdle and still haven't got back to. Here's the one I'm talking about. This didn't come out anything near what I had in my head, but as I was drawing it, it all came together, and that was the most important thing. Like, this to me is one of the best things I've drawn in a long time. Not because it's perfect or great, or the shading or shadows or anything are what they should be, but the anatomy is good, and proportionately, I think everything is acceptable. Like, this hand up here is a little too big. The head's a little bit bigger than I would like, but it's turned in such a way that I like the way it came out. I love the legs, and I love, like, the arm and the back. I don't even know if that works, but it feels like it does when I look at it, so I feel like I'm taking, you know, some leaps forward, you know. There's Daryl in pencil, Daryl in ink, and here's another one that, I mean, I didn't finish it, but it gets the point across. His hands are fucking enormous, but that's alright. Quick little Batman with some feet. Some red. I was trying to draw Spider-Man with a red. I gotta practice on that. I know this is just a recap of a lot of stuff I've already done, but there's Wormy. I showed you that one. I may do color on that one eventually. I'm just on the fence about it because I like the way it came out. This guy I've showed you, that's all brown. Yeah, there's no black on that. That's all brown. And that came out good. The thing is, and I want to start, like Will Terrell was talking about, Batman. Horrible. I want to start like a sketch club, but I want to start it with a few people that I know and then expand out from there, because I'm not good at like meeting up with people I don't know, especially when I know they're going to be better than me. But that's all right. I mean, I want to learn from other people just like they can learn from me. You know, there might be some things I do that they don't know about, or techniques that, like, you know, that's the cool thing about watching internet videos about art, like and tutorials. Like, even if it's just somebody sitting around drawing and you can see them doing it, you do learn a lot from it, because there are things that you just pick up on. Like, I mean, I've showed you guys this before. I'll show you it again just because I'm really happy with it. Oh, I wanted to show you something in here too. This is Vincent, the very first Vincent drawing I did. I did that way back, probably about February. And the white is what I learned from Will Terrell. Doing like the white out around, especially on the tone tan, makes it just pop off the page. And I thought that came out really well. Wilbur, Big Jim, I've shown you all these before. But I need to, it's time to do another one here. And I don't know if I ever showed you this, but this is the boys at the coffee shop, Monster Max. You can see all these little weapons down here that they're hiding behind the counter, and I think there's a lot of expression in each of the characters' faces and in the way they're holding their, you know, their body language. So I felt like that was a success, and I do need to finish it so that I can put it out there and do something with it. Anywho, I'm gonna wrap this up now because it's been a long day. Got back from, we went to oh yeah, I didn't even tell you what we did. We went to normally we were gonna go to a place called Milan, an Indian place that's awesome here in town in Lynchburg. We love it, But I know this is cheesy, but Olive Garden is like our place. Like, we always go there and we always find something we like. I usually take the tour of Italy, but today I just went with a lasagna because on the tour I've decided that that's my favorite stop. And on the road, this is my favorite stop with you guys here every night on the road to 40. Thanks for always coming by and hanging out with me. It means a lot. Keep those comments coming, the likes, the shares. You know, it's great to see that stuff out there. You know, if you're loving these, like I'm loving them, here we go. Please subscribe and pass them along to anybody who you think might like them as well. You know, I'm just a 39-year-old man talking about his day, maybe talking about the news, giving you an opinion of what's going on in the world today. What's wrong with the world today? So, yeah, you know, pass it along. It only takes a spark to get a fire going. You know what I'm saying? You ride a bike, you drive a car. Have a great night. Don't forget, make somebody smile tomorrow. Make something better of yourself. And let's make the world spin a little happier together. Here's to a few more awesome tomorrows. Thank you for coming by, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow night on the Road to 40, episode 84? Who knows at this point? We're chugging along. Hundreds in sight. We got to do something for 100. I think I know what we're going to do for 100. I think this should line up perfectly. If not, we're going to do episode 100 before we do a few other episodes, and we'll come back. It'll be like we're jumping forward in time. It'll be like time travel. This will be great. Or am I time traveling right now? Maybe I'm from the future. I'm not. But wouldn't it be awesome if I was? I would totally give you guys winning lottery numbers so you could go out and make $1 million or $1 billion or $1 trillion or whatever. All right, I'll see you tomorrow night. Take care.